This is every buff and nerf that has just happened in Season 2 of Warzone. First of all, assault rifles, battle rifles, marksman rifles, LMGs and sniper rifles have all had their movement speed increased whilst aiming down sight. The Ram 7 has been nerfed with its damage being reduced, so it's probably not going to be the leading meta gun anymore. The MCW has also been nerfed with ADS and sprinter fire time being increased. The Holger 556 has also had a slight nerf with its ADS speed being increased. The TR-76 Geist has had a pretty good buff. That's the Modern Warfare 2 gun with its headshot and its upper torso damage and arm and hand damage modifiers being increased. Moving on to the battle rifles, the BFB has been nerfed with its max damage being reduced by quite a significant amount. Its sprint to fire, aim down sight speed and hip fire spread has also all been nerfed. The Sidewinder has also had a pretty significant buff with its recoil and gun kit being reduced significantly, as well as its bullet velocity being increased. And also its conversion kit has been buffed, but it's pretty useless anyway, so don't worry about it. Moving on to the SMGs, the HRM 9 has had its max damage range reduced, so it's still going to be a really good gun, but you're probably going to want to prioritize putting a barrel on there from now on. The WSP 9 has had a significant buff, but its time to kill has remained the same. It's just things like its damage range and aim down sight speed that have been given a buff. Moving on to the shotguns, thank God they've all been nerfed. Every single one of them. That's the Lockwood 680, Haymaker, Riveter, Bryson 890, KV Broadside, Lockwood 300, and the MX Guardian. Moving on to the LMGs, the Palermo 762 with its conversion kit, the JAK Annihilator, has been nerfed with its minimum damage being reduced, as well as adding a new damage drop off. So you'll see a pretty significant change going forwards there. The TAC Evolver has had a pretty good buff, so expect this to come into the meta, I would imagine, with its max damage being increased, as well as damage range being pushed out a lot, and the minimum damage has also been increased. Overall, pretty hefty buff, probably bringing it quite in line with a lot of the other guns, but a really good low recoil option. Looking at the TAC Eradicator, that's also been nerfed with its sprint to fire speed being pushed up. The 556 Icarus from Modern Warfare 2 has actually had a buff with its sprint to fire speed being decreased. The Roll LMG has also had a good buff. Again, its sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed has also been buffed. The RPK has also had a buff with its aim down sight speed being buffed. Then moving on to marksman rifles, the KVD Enforcer has been nerfed with its damage headshot multiplier being reduced, and the MTZ Interceptor has also had a nerf with the increased aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed, and decreasing the neck multiplier down quite significantly. The MCW 6.8 has actually had a buff with its aim down sight speed and hip fire spread and bullet velocity all being buffed. And then the crossbow from Modern Warfare 2 has had a buff to its neck damage multiplier and also its lower limb damages. Moving on to the snipers, a pretty big one here. The XRK Stalker can now one shot up to 50.8 meters. That's when you land a headshot. That's without any attachments. So its base gun can now one shot up to 50.8 meters. This will not be increased by putting on barrels. That is the hard limit. The longbow has also been altered slightly with its min damage being reduced, but its aim down sight speed being buffed. The Signal 50 has also been nerfed with its mid damage range being reduced, and the SPX 80 has also been nerfed with its aim down sight speed being nerfed. Moving on to the handguns, the Renetti has also had its conversion kit being buffed by reducing the movement speed penalty by about 50%. And then looking at the WSP Stinger, basically the mini Uzi, this has been buffed quite significantly with its max damage, near to mid damage and min damage all being buffed. So actually we could potentially see this being viable going forwards. And then the .5 GS has also been buffed with its max damage being increased. And then the Basilisk has also had a buff with its lower torso damage being buffed. And then all of the knives have had their lunge damage decreased by about 30%. And then looking at the one thing we're probably all quite interested in, the JAK BFB Muzzle has had a pretty significant nerf, but not to its recoil control, as the gun kit control has gone down to 55% from 60%. That's a 5% reduction. And then its vertical recoil control has been nerfed as well by 5%. Again, these aren't huge numbers and probably not going to make the world of difference, but the areas that it has really been penalized is its increased aim down sight speed penalty, increased sprint to fire penalty, increased aim walking speed penalty, and an 18% bullet velocity penalty as well. That's the huge area that's going to stop making it viable so much on long range assault rifles. Well, that's it for all the nerfs and buffs in Warzone Season 2. If you want to know the fastest way to get your loadout or the best perks to get in Warzone, then click on one of the videos on screen now, but don't forget to like and subscribe for more.